I'm from American Samoa. American Samoa is like the breeding ground for military soldiers. Joining the military almost carries the same principles as my culture: duty, respect, honor. I wanted to follow in the footsteps of my family. They actually didn't want us to join, but here we are, joining. And we can actually see why they didn't want us to join. So she sucks. I was deployed to Afghanistan several times, all over Afghanistan. It was in 08, 09. And IED, we know that was meant for us, blew. And we raced over to help out. The vehicles that were involved ended up to be my battle buddy's vehicle. The driver's side was completely ripped out. The driver was still in his seat. But my battle buddy was stuck inside the vehicle, and there was no way to get him out. There were flames all around it, and we were able to put it out the first time, and then the second time we couldn't. And the second time is when he woke up. And then you had to listen to him scream. The worst sound you ever had to have your soldiers listen to. People have told me, Sergeant Navy, you need some help. And I would always tell them, nah, I'm good. But it wasn't until when I handcuffed my first sergeant. I don't remember doing this, but it was him who told me I did it. Patted him down and searched him and threw him into a corner. And it wasn't until I came to and asked him, what are you doing there? And he said, you did this to me, you asshole. And I was like, oh, he wasn't mad at me, but he took me to behavioral health. And, that was when I realized, oh, shoot, yeah, okay. Yes, I got a problem. Yeah, PTSD. And that's actually why I shy away from places, because I don't want people to view me as, oh, there's that crazy vet. I'm not crazy. It's just certain things happen to my body I have zero control over. I mean, they feed you all these pills, but the pills don't do shit, You tell them something else and they give you another pill to counteract that feeling, and then they give you more pills. And then the moment you stop taking those pills, and they say, that's the reason why you went off the hinges. Like, no, that's not the reason. You just want to stop feeling all the other shit. I'm sitting here, I'm trying to figure out what's next for me, I feel a little used when I look at my battle buddies and I see that they're struggling. And I understand, that the military has to keep rolling, but I also feel that they should take care of the people that they break. There was a promise that if we gave our all, that they would make sure that we were well taken care of. And I don't feel that. We Are Not Done Yet is our collaborative poems from different branches of the military: Army, Air Force, Marines, Navy, veterans, active, and they were speaking about different traumas, letting everybody know that these things may have happened to us, but we are not done yet. We still have a lot to say, and we still have a lot to do.
We did a whole bunch of practices. It started growing and building all these other elements until it became this stage performance where this group of veterans and active duty service members got on stage, the Lincoln Theater in DC, and read a big group poem together.
The collaborative poem was a bunch of initial prompts that we were to fill in the blank with, and it allowed us to really reach across the spectrum of trauma as a whole.
Our lines are going to be on the horizon, and maybe there will never be enough. This poem is not. I used to believe, Amy.
I used to believe that there was honor in things that I have done. I used to believe that the Army would always take care of me. I used to believe that God had a plan for me. The writing was hard because I didn't want to share anything. But then after working with Seema, and when I first read her my first serious piece, she didn't judge me. And I was hooked after that.
These hands have saved and given life, held a newborn child, baked cookies, held my mother, taken chemo pills, delivered a hot plate of love on a cold day.
This land made of eggshells, fragile but good fertilizer, bones and dying dreams of free men, the decay it all grows from. It is my land. People don't talk a lot about why we bottle things down. It's because it's hard to cope and do normal human being stuff if you're wearing your trauma on your sleeve.
Seema came in and said that Jeffrey Wright was coming, and I was like, okay. He knew a lot more stuff than we did in this area, which was great.
It was his first day with our group. Jeffrey and I were sort of sitting next to each other, and he said, "How honest do you want me to be?" And I whispered back to him, "How honest do you want them to be?"
I'm so damn tired of sleeping because I die in all my dreams.
There's so much more to the military story than shooting people. And there's all these things that people deal with in between, like bullets and Band-Aids.
Pain makes you real.
It was really cool. There's a whole lot there. Your ideas that you're bringing onto the table now, I'm just going to be here just hoping to try to help you frame them and really just get out of the way, and then do whatever else I can to help bring attention to your storytelling, because you're really the guiding force behind all of this.
The theme that we were writing to that integrated everything together was the line or the idea that it's all combat to me.
We go all over the place, which was the point, from cancer to combat to domestic violence to rape, but something that somehow threads everything, brings people back to
In my head, I picture we're all out there, and then a light shines on whoever is speaking at the time, and we all together say, "These hands are not," and then the words flow.
Everyone put in their piece of what their struggle was, and all those lines in there mean something different to the person who was saying it and to the rest of us. And it allowed us to really reach across the spectrum of trauma as a whole.
Should we go through a bit further with that structure of collective voices and then couplet, Yeah? 1, 2.
These hands are not.
Great. Next.
First, you should know.
First, you should know there is no easy way through this. This space, this table where words have been born.
I'm just me, small and large, a woman, a daughter, a sister, a girl, a friend, a writer, a survivor. I'm not holy. I haven't found it all yet.
I love that old bearded man. I love that he is trust. Rocking his brand new jet black, creased Arabic attire, and his plaid turban really makes his outfit pop. I love how he smiled. Cell phone in his
Super
right
Bowl
hand.
will fly, the F-16's over and everybody gets a rush. Service member will be acknowledged, stand up, we'll applaud. They'll sit down in their free seat, and then the game goes on. That's one side of it. The other side that needs to be placed on a stage as large, as bright, are the stories of the effect of war on human beings who take up the call. Slow down. And then just break it out. Okay, close, that's close, that's close. Well, how's that feel to everyone?
It feels weird, like the sort of appropriation of the military piece in a
Can we get on our feet a little bit?
thing. So that, yeah.
I hate it.
Okay.
You hate the lack of structure?
Yes.
The lack of structure.
The breaking formality and following.
Tearing drill apart into something that informal. It just doesn't, my brain can't wrap around it.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It just means
No, but it is.
my Marine Corps brain.
What is it about the structure that you didn't like when you were marching in? Is it when you were marching in, you just didn't like?
So you want us to turn left and you want us to come forward, and there are specific commands for that. Forward march, ready, halt, left, face, forward march, one step. But doing it like just kind of.
We're appropriating it, but we're not even doing
Or if
it.
you do a color guard style, then there would just be two people, like for example, you on our side and then
Georgette on
the
the
other side, and then
that
you
are
just say
quietly
saying,
calling.
Right.
Is there a way that you together can figure out how to make that idea work for you?
Let's try it. Line up over here. Line up over here. I'll stay right here. All right, the first thing I want you guys to do is just take that full step. Left. Left. All right. Ready. Halt. Left. Please. Oh, I apologize. Center face. One step forward, march. All right, then you guys just take a
Boom. Yes, thank you. That's all the structure I need.
That's great, guys. That's great, guys.
I didn't care how we walked on there. You know, in all honesty, I wanted any kind of military part of it out of it. It bothered some people very much, and then if it bothered them, I fully support them in doing it the way they like, because it didn't hinder the program at all. And Jeffrey liked it, so it all worked out.
I realized last week, as I was kind of driving around and thinking about the show, I was like, wow, we need some help. And so when as stage manager, we've worked together on Broadway, I think 3 times, and on numerous other shows and things like that. So we're all in very good hands with her. Should we just go through and do the whole piece, and then you can do yours at the end?
I have heard shame. It sounds like.
I have heard shame. It sounds like a weight sliding right on the scale.
My name, his voice.
Voices telling me I'm wrong.
Reminding me.
I don't want
Shame sounds like the screams that keep me company each night.
concrete pillows weighing me down.
It looks like 2 wounded kids with empty eyes.
I've swallowed so many.
I've swallowed so many parts of myself.
So many glasses of you that you know my name.
I have swallowed so many fucking pills. My blood type is benzene.
I've touched love, tasted faith, then washed it away with duty. I've touched. No, I've destroyed. I've seen hate personified and vigilance breed ignorance, then give birth to silence. I've lost sight of heaven, found solace in hell. When I was younger, I always wanted to be a part of a group of some sort, whether it was a bad group of friends or whatever. I wanted to be attached to something. And the military really could provide that for me. I've got 8 rotations, 3 to Iraq and 4 to Afghanistan and 1 somewhere else.
Bam!
I initially had a very type A personality, you know, trying to exceed and be better than everyone else. Being able to be better at shooting or being better at my job My life was planned out. I had schools I was going to, I had deployments that were coming up. I can't really remember thinking about my family while I was gone, except for the moment that I was talking to him. My ex-wife left, taking my daughter. And after the next deployment, I came home and she wasn't there. My daughter became my main focus. And things started to become less important to me. I noticed differences in myself. Originally, I thought it was a joke, like a cop-out. It was something that some friends of mine, we would joke about. I bought into the stigma of, any kind of mental illness or any kind of trauma is a weakness. And then when I found myself in this situation, PTSD took a different turn. It was one that I never liked hearing. I don't like reading it. And I see it all over these medical records and documents that I've been having to go through recently as, I'm getting close to transitioning out. I'll be attending my separation board hearing where they're going to decide whether to retain me in the military so I can do my medical retirement or to separate me. If they decide to separate me, they also have to decide what my characterization will be, whether it's an honorable discharge or the next one, which is general, other than honorable. Wondering if I was in the shoes of the people that are going to a board right now to determine some Sergeant First Class's career, that's got to weigh pretty heavily on an individual to make that decision like that.
If you a champion, show me you a champion. Cause real champions move like champions. And real champions prove that they're champions. If you a champion, show me you a champion. If you a champion, show me you a champion. Cause real champions move like champions. And real champions prove that they're champions. Listen,
see, I told you. Courthouse.
Let's get this shit over with.
The board returned, their decision was not what I wanted to hear. It was to separate me for general, other than honorable conditions. How badly I want to throw my fist through this fucking window right now. So.
Go back to the apartment.
Yeah. What really upsets me is that they couldn't have the decency to at least give my daughter the college money. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't have to give me the medical treatment, but my daughter's college money. So you're telling me that these 12 years and the stuff that I've gone through is not worth my daughter's college money. I don't fault them for the decision that they made. What I do fault them for is going all out and completely taking everything from me. The only favor that they did me was they didn't agree with the other than honorable, which, is, I think, ludicrous to try and give me that for a positive neuroanalysis. I think it's extremely ridiculous. This is 12 years of my life. This is not the way I imagined to be going out of the military. The divorce of my parents, step-parents, growing up, my divorce, my daughter going with her mom, deployments and combat, all that stuff. So I think about all these things. So I'm not meant to have it easy, but there's so much light at the end of the tunnel, and I just need to keep thinking of it like that. The only thing that made me feel better as I was going down the hill was, a lot of creative expression, doing the writing, art, and making music. It's my main focus right now of what I want to do for myself to get better.
Leave.
I'm supposed to read. I really love the heroic, make believe yet believable, nitty gritty, dirty, raunchy stories of my crew's very own one-upper guy. Cell phone in the right hand, waving a high goodbye. With his left hand, as he passed by, his fucking left hand. I love this place.
This poem is not who I am. Your flow is so good, but when you kind of struggle with that heroic word, that's something that a lot of veterans struggle with. You know, when they get down to the business of trying to say, oh, you're a hero or this or that. So it was kind of a really poignant, honest, and very real.
You touch lives with your scope, and then you take lives with that scope. That's real, you know? Once you commit to pulling that trigger, it's the hardest thing in the world, you know? He might have been a good guy, a good kid.
I want more or less to like slap the audience in the face with what reality is. And I think that that's exactly what they need to see.
There's some question of, is the whole narrative about combat, right?
The combat is continuously talked about. No disrespect to my brothers and sisters that have been there. But we have a whole generation of people whose story is their shame and guilt because they don't hear it. They don't see. And to me, it's not a downside, even if you did yours at the end. The whole thing that I see about your story or anybody else's, in fact, you're still standing in front of me. That's hope. You're standing on a stage.
There are 4 primary emotions, right, associated with trauma: anger, grief, fear, and shame. Anger, grief, and fear have these physical ways that they leave our bodies. But shame requires this community who you show your true self to and who accepts you anyway.
How do you guys want to end this piece? Do you want it to resolve going up, or do you want them to be in the trenches with it? So that's a question for you guys.
So if I had to, so AV and I's more or less, I'm not taking away from anyone. If you want to do like a start, beginning, and an end, the incident going down that causes going into their stories, like the struggle or the battle, and then into the positive message at the end, or like the light at the end of the tunnel.
And I think starting with, with like maybe TJs and explaining and like getting people into that mindset of like, no, we're not going to talk about Happy La La Land, the story of the happy soldier. Like, we're going to talk to you about some real shit.
Everything is valid. Whatever, anxiety, fear, nervousness, joy, whatever you're bringing to it is perfectly valid for this. So thank you for that.
Yeah, let's give a big hug. There's always been that simple cohesiveness with all military folks. We all trust in each other that we're not going to do anything that's going to harm each other, right?
You want to start with that stretching exercise? Why don't we just start at the beginning and start to kind of tighten up that entrance?
These hands are not
nice. Really, really nice.
This isn't a warrior song, a ballad of victory, or a story of triumph. Far from the memoirs of a hero. This isn't the bright description of a soldier's intention.
Very nice. Very nice. And I love the attention.
What can I not do as far as whatever proper stage etiquette is?
If there's something that's going on that I feel is diminishing the power of your story, then I'll let you know. Yeah. Okay. But that's the great thing about the theater. When you're telling your story, you tell it the way you want to, right?
Left, right on left, right on left, right on left.
Would it be appropriate if you guys saluted her when she got there?
Or as she hits the podium.
Right. When she hits the podium, everybody boom. Right? First, you should know. Nice, beautiful. All right, so Joe, when you hear that music, then begin to move, yeah?
This fist is a hammer. The fingers, its claws, trying to unbend and pull out the nails and things you no longer want to hold together. These arms wielding a sledge when it calls for a tack hammer. This fist is cumbersome. This fist skin wrapped bones so tight the knuckles flush, but this fist can be unfolded.
Remove the aggression, insert the pen. Transplant the ball peen with a ball point until the vice grips of your palms transform into feathers. Know that this fist can wrap around flowers as easily as pistol grips, and that sometimes left-hand flowers, right-hand pistol grips.
I had a good friend of mine from high school who was killed in Ramadi, and he was a Marine. I watched his mom cry on the front lawn for 2.5 days, and I joined the Marine Corps to try to prevent moms from laying in the front yard. I was in the Marine Corps for 10 years, went to Afghanistan, supported Iraq, was medically retired, and now I'm a visual artist and raising kids. First 4 years I was in the Marine Corps, I was machine gunning and infantry. If I could not recall a difficult situation, it would be a good day. I had to switch seats with somebody, so the truck that I should have been in just destroyed, like ripped in half. If a Humvee looks like this, when it was done, it was like this, but if you put a whole bunch of charcoal in your hands. And the hottest moment of that was 70 feet up in the air. When I first got back home from Afghanistan, my dad, who was also in the military, and most of my uncles, they're like, hey, if you ever want to talk, we're here for you. And I was like, yeah, you guys never deployed, and I'm not going to talk to you about this. It never made sense to be like, hey, Dad, I watched people burn to death. Also, can you pass the mashed potatoes? Or like, how do I start this conversation? When you're walking around and all of a sudden, for reasons you can't explain at the time, you feel an emotional response to something, whether it's like, an alarm goes off or the rocks crunch the wrong way, and it sets something off in your head. And so now you're stuck with this feeling that you can't explain. What's wrong, buddy? You okay? Wanna go sit down, please? Can you relax? Please, Aiden? So, Aiden, what was it like when you were in Iraq? Aiden, come here. Aiden. PTSD is like being betrayed by yourself. in your brain. After I got back from Afghanistan, being a single dad and dealing with a kid with autism and trying to navigate all these things at the same time, the depression became so crippling that like I couldn't get off the couch. My medical retirement started because I was in the hospital because I parked my car in the garage and tried to kill myself. There was a doctor and he sat me down and he was like, you, of all people, deserve better quality of life. It was the first time that somebody acknowledged the guilt is what was the biggest injury from Afghanistan. After I get home from therapy and do the kids stuff, and before I'd wash dishes or clothes, I'd make myself do something creative to like process that stuff that I couldn't talk to anybody else about. And it became this process that saved my life. My dad came to an art exhibit that I did. He was like, I never knew you went through this. I was like, I didn't know how to tell you. The beautiful thing about art and writing is you can say everything you want to say, but you only have to tell people the parts that you're comfortable with. Being a single parent for so long is as much a part of this story as being a Marine or being a machine gunner or being a combat veteran or being medically retired. It's like all interwoven together. It's all part of why I kept going and why I give back and what I try to bring to other veterans. It's not just this linear, like I'm a combat veteran. It's like, yeah, you're also a human being. And being a human being is hard.
You only have two options, tell your lovers or don't. A careful lover is possibly the most effective way to make you feel broken. 4. There is a third option that you may only come to after repeatedly finding yourself alone. Be alone. The heaviness of your insecurities is too much of a burden to place on anyone. Your constant need for reassurance and security is draining. Limit your expectations so when they leave, it does not come as a shock.
I like it. Everybody feel good about that? Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to share this story, but I feel like I kind of have to. So I want you guys to just think for a little bit about me when I was younger, because I grew up on a farm in Virginia. I was real little, and that place was safe as houses.
Cool. The idea as well is we've broken this for a minute. We've told this story, that we are underneath this. We are all that we've shown you, but at the same time, we're service members too, right? Perhaps the way that we exit is changed by the experience that we've had with you in telling this story. AB, I'll let you handle this.
You're gonna take that rear march, and if you're standing on the left or the right, you're gonna peel off to that left or right. Rear, hook!
We have the body of the thing now. Tomorrow it should be much simpler. We'll go through that, we'll light it, then we'll do a run through.
This paragon of masculinity and strength and invulnerability and sacrifice and all of these things, which of course nobody can really live up to. But when we're constantly telling people that the best thing they've ever done is something that they're not so sure about, these hands have done things that I'm not necessarily proud of.
I try to figure out how I can take my anger and I can force it onto people who decided to come and listen to me. That's what I'm trying to do every time that I write.
Yeah, bring them over there. Bring them on the side. Yeah, there's a way on that.
We'll figure that out. Once that's settled, then just go on stage and like do that like stretching game.
Like there's just a little violin fill or cello fill, and like one.
I don't need this one, right?
What?
Do we have any finished books yet? We're gonna have a tour of backstage, and then we're gonna get on stage and feel what the stage is like. And
I I just said straight. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, I'm lost too, so.
Lower, because she's short, Amy.
Come in to the top like this. Where's AV? Come out like this. I want you guys, once you take your bow, go as far stage right as you can.
No, you're gonna be up here. No, we're gonna call you.
We're gonna call you.
We're gonna call you.
And then just head out. You know, coda, finish, and out. And then lights come up, yeah?
Maybe. Maybe? Ready?
Good, man?
You good?
Y'all good? Cool. It looks great, man. It looks great. Very powerful.
These hands were once small.
These hands were once small. They held baby dolls.
These hands are not broken.
They are not innocent.
They are not beholden.
They are still able to pray.
At home, my life was a disaster. The night terrors were brutal on my fiance. He'd wake up with me straddled across him, scratching and fighting violently. My heart stopped beating. I no longer felt pain.
Another unimportant news today. 2 800-pound IEDs destroyed 3 vehicles, instantly killing 10 soldiers, 10 sons, 10 brothers, 10 family members, 10 battle buddies, 10 friends. Tomorrow, 4 more will die. The day after, 1 more will die. I love this place.
You guys hang out there for a while.
I don't want to stay here. I want off the stage now.
Yeah, follow.
Real march.
That's enough. Cool. What we try to wrestle with and celebrate at the same time when we do this stuff, and it's useful for us. And we only hope that we can be something of you too. That we try to be fierce, warriors, in what we do. But just use it and punch it, and celebrate it, whatever it is. And you guys have already defined it, You're using it for one another first, for yourselves, and someone out in the audience. It doesn't have to undo you if you can wrestle with it, and you can find the means to constructively and creatively.
They knew they were going to be a part of something great. They were also going to have a chance to share their story, and people were going to listen. That they were going to be heard, probably heard for the first time. Because I know that a lot of us have not been heard.
Performing in front of the 400 or 500 people were there is the largest that I've ever performed in front of anybody. It's like these are all people who came because they gave a shit.
They think they know what trauma is, that sexual assault or whatever it is that they're going through, they call that PTSD. That's not PTSD. PTSD has to deal with combat. If they ain't never been in combat before, they don't know what PTSD is. I don't feel sorry for them. They were probably wearing something that they should have been wearing. They're probably drinking way too damn much. All these cats that pretend that they've been downrange, while all of us real people are out there pulling triggers, killing real people. That's another thing of me calling you a goddamn pussy. You know what? I don't get it. That ain't trauma. Combat's trauma. You don't know what it's like. I sound like an asshole. I used to say that to all these people. I wish I never said those things.
These hands
hands are not.
These hands are not clean.
These hands are not broken.
They are not innocent.
They are not beholden.
They're not meant to go without holding.
They are still able to pray.
I've seen innocence lost, youth beaten and bruised by nightmares come to life.
Dear God, are you testing my faith? You know what I've been through. How do I, a rape victim, keep a rapist safe?
But sometimes left-hand flowers, right-hand pistol grips make a fist wrapped in barbed wire, but these hands won't be able to love until the barbs are pulled out to let the skin heal.
Certain kinds of quiet signify death rather than peace. In your search for peace, try to make sure you are not sitting quietly in death.
I have swallowed so many fucking pills that my blood type is benzo. And they keep feeding me more.
Well, I was looking up at the boonies night sky, and I'd see these shooting stars. And I'm sitting here thinking about it, and I'm like, what? Why would I wish on a shooting star when I could be a shooting star? I think about being in the boonies of Afghanistan and riding around in those helos in an open sky. And I think about maybe those little kids are looking up at that sky. Maybe they saw me in the sky in that helo and they thought that's a shooting star. Maybe one day those little kids will grant some wishes too.
I love seeing that old bearded man. I love that he dressed up just for us, rocking his brand new black creased Arabic attire. And his plaid turban really makes his outfit pop. I love how he smiled. Cell phone in his right hand, waving hi or goodbye with his left hand as we pass by. His fucking left hand. Ten. Left hand, 10. Cell phone, 10. In other unimportant news today, 2 800-pound IEDs destroyed 3 vehicles, instantly killing 10 soldiers, 10 sons, 10 brothers, 10 family members, 10 battle buddies, 10 friends. Tomorrow, 4 more will die. The day after, 1 more will die. I love this place.
This poem is not who I am.
This poem is not a suicide note.
This poem is not a cry for help.
This poem is not my broken pieces.
This poem is not absolution.
This poem is not for you to feel sorry for me.
And we're not done yet.
When we're taken out and put into something together, being very strong individuals, but very vulnerable at the same time, it kind of just formed the glue that we all just stuck together with.
It might have been the most beneficial thing that I've done out loud.
in my life.
If you had met any of these people before the transition from being shut in to open, the transformation is so great now.
It's a great group to collaborate with, a really fine group of artists, warrior poets.
These people, they are